Hello and welcome to Daily Reflection with Aneel Aranha. Today is the 4th of October 2020. We're going to reflect on Matthew 21, 33 to 43. I'm going to get a little deep today because the lesson contained is very important for the future of the church and I want us to understand it. I might take an extra paragraph or two, but I'm sure you won't mind. Now, listen. Jesus said, "Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a winepress in it, and built a watchtower. Then he leased it to tenants and went to another country. When the harvest time had come, he sent his slaves to the tenants to collect his produce. But the tenants seized his slaves and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other slaves, more than the first, and they treated them the same way. Finally, he sent his son to them, saying, 'They will respect my son.' But when the tenants saw the son, they said to themselves, 'This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and get his inheritance.' So they seized him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. Now, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants?' And they said to him, 'He will put those wretches to a miserable death and lease the vineyard to other tenants who will give him the produce at the harvest time.' And Jesus said to them, 'Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is amazing in our eyes. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people that produces the fruits of the kingdom.'" The gospel of the Lord. Let me tell you the story again so everything is in focus. There is a landowner who plants a vineyard, a place where you grow grapes. He puts a fence around it. He digs a wine press in it. He also builds a watchtower. Then he leases it to some tenants and goes away to another country. When harvest time comes, he sends his servants to collect the fruit, but the tenants beat them up. So he sends his son, believing that they will treat him well, but they kill him. Obviously, the landowner is furious. He punishes the tenants and hands the vineyard over to other tenants. Now, there are 5 main characters in this story with a couple of additional elements that are relevant to it. The landowner is representational of God. The tenants are the Jewish priests and elders. The landowner's servants are the prophets whom God sent at regular intervals through the course of Jewish history to remind them of their obligations. The Son, of course, is Jesus, and the other tenants are the Gentiles. That's us. The vineyard is Israel, and the produce is the fruit the nation is required to bear. The landowner does 3 things after he has planted his vineyard. 1, he digs a wine press. 2, he puts a fence around it. And 3, he constructs a watchtower. The function of the wine press is to process the grapes once they are harvested. The fence keeps out foxes and other animals, and the watchtower serves to guard against thieves, poachers, and miscellaneous intruders, while also providing the workers with a place to stay. The point of Jesus stating this in such great detail was to underscore how every aspect of the vineyard was diligently planned and executed so that the tenants couldn't blame anybody if they did not reap a good harvest. Jesus also wanted to remind his listeners about how God, the real landowner, has provided for the nation of Israel, just as the landowner in the story had provided for his tenants. From the time God had promised Abraham that he would make him ancestor of a multitude of nations, the Israelites had been God's chosen people, and God had given them every single thing they needed. He declared, "And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you shall be my people." Whenever they seemed to forget this covenant, he would send his prophets to remind them of how special they were in his sight, how beloved. The prophets also reminded the beloved of what was expected of them, a rich harvest. After all, they had everything they needed for one. God had prepared the soil to be fertile. He had dug the ground and cleared it of stones. Instead of listening to the prophets, however, they treated them despicably. Some were beaten, some killed, some stoned. But the landowner reveals another facet of his personality, patience. He also shows that he's a God of second chances. He sends other slaves more than the first. Unfortunately, they meet the same fate. Finally, the landowner decides to send his son, saying, "They will respect my son." But when the tenants saw the son, they thought that here was an opportunity to gain the vineyard for themselves. So they seized him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. What was the result? The kingdom of God was taken away from them and given to a people that produced fruits of the kingdom. These people were the early Christians, but over the years, we seem to have become like the original tenants, not bearing fruit and unmindful of the prophets of God. However, as we have seen, He is a God of second chances. He is giving us the opportunity through these times to see the mistakes we have made and rectify them. If we do, we will start producing fruit for His kingdom as we once did. If we don't, He will remove us as tenants and give His vineyard to others. Let this not be our fate. God bless you.